Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about all of the albums that I feel I missed in the month of March 2022. And it turns out I missed a little bit more than I thought I did. I still feel like I talked about all of the most important and the most interesting records for the most part. I mean, we talked about ABBA, Dark Funeral, Falls of Rhoros, Midnight, Sabaton, Dave Grohl's Dream Widow record, the final album ever released from Eric Wagner. Or I assume his final album. I don't know. Maybe it's like a Tupac, Michael Jackson scenario where there's just old demos and unreleased records in some kind of fucking vault somewhere. I don't fucking know. The point is, we talked about a lot of cool music. But even despite that, there's always obviously something that falls under the radar, something that I don't get to talk about, something I don't have the time to talk about, something I just forget about altogether, something I'm not aware of, blah blah blah. Hence this video. Let's get fucking started. And let's do so with Let the World Burn, a brand new EP from Vio-Lence, old school thrash metal crew featuring Phil Demmel of Machine Head fame. This is their first EP album, piece of new music, whatever the fuck you want to call it, in close to 20 years. And it's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of sick, demented riffs and guitar solos on here, and I know that's probably what most of the people paying attention to Vio-Lence are gonna want at this point in time. But man, this production is so flat, sterile, generic. It's got no fucking grit or soul to it whatsoever. And I can't really vibe with these vocals. I'm not sure if Sean Killian's barking, wailing vocals just work better, are better suited to something more unpolished and aggressive like Terror Tactics or Eternal Nightmares, or if it's just because Sean Killian's older and these vocals just don't have the same impact that they might have had when he was like in his early fucking 20s. But whatever the fucking case, it isn't really working on this record whatsoever. That much I'm pretty certain of. Yeah, I don't know, not exactly the thunderous comeback I was hoping for, especially because they've been building this up for a while. They dropped a few singles over the course of the past few years, some covers and shit like that. They did some small shows. They've been talking about doing this EP for so long, and I don't know. I feel somewhat underwhelmed and disappointed. It's not terrible. It's just kind of, it's okay. It's whatever. It could be a no-name thrash metal band putting this out, and I would probably forget about it in a week. Hell, I might not even fucking talk about it, so. Yeah, moving on to something hopefully a bit more exciting. Next up, we have Doomsday, a brand new studio album from German death metal band Deserted Fear. This is pretty cool. It's dark, it's grim. I like some of the subtle melodies throughout this whole thing. I like that really eerie sense of doom across this whole record. It's fierce, it's straight to the point, it doesn't waste a lot of time. Couldn't really ask for anything better, honestly, in a really good death metal record. There is a decent amount of variety to the record, influences from melodic death metal, blackened death metal, some metalcore, big, thick, hearty grooves. I like the production. Just all around a really, really, really good record. Feels like a good mix of modern and old school death metal, of Swedish and German and American death metal, of all these other subgenres and styles of death metal without being too weird or too confusing or convoluted. It's just a really good record. Yeah, check it out. Next up, we have Culture of Violence from Extinction A.D, which is weird right off the bat for one very specific and potentially stupid reason. It's a thrash metal record being put out by Unique Leader Records. That's weird. Right off the bat, I feel like I'm being punked. Like halfway through the first song, I'm wondering to myself, what's the fucking catch? Is this about to turn into some like sci-fi deathcore or some technical death metal wankery? Like, I'm expecting it any fucking second. And it never shows up. It's fucking insane. I'm happy it didn't though, because I like this record. It feels like that old school spirit of thrash metal, like the stubbornness, the anger, the very like straightforward kind of songwriting, but filtered through some modern production value. The songs are short and punchy, thank God. It doesn't waste a lot of time. There's not really a lot of filler. It's by no means like a really well written record. It's arguably somewhat generic and derivative. But you know what? As far as this style of thrash is concerned, this is one of the better executions I think I've seen in a bit. Like, if you just hated thrash metal, I don't think this record would do anything to change your mind. If you were completely bored with thrash metal, I don't think this record would do anything to change your mind. But if you're just looking for riffs, and if you're just looking for some gnarly beatdowns and shit like that, bon appetit. You'll love this record. Next up, we have Year of the Demon, a compilation record from Nite Demon, an old-school heavy metal revival band. A bunch of standalone singles, live songs, some collaborations with Tim Baker from Seraph Ungol and Ule John Roth. Nothing groundbreaking here either. It's all pretty straightforward stuff, and if you're a Nite Demon fan, there's a chance you've already heard a lot of this material before, so I don't even know if this would be like an essential listen for y'all, but you know, all that aside, it's a pretty decent kind of heavy metal meat and potatoes offering. You know, it's chunky, it's spicy, it's got hooks and riffs, motorcycles and beers and you know, everything I pretty much expect from like that classic early 80s, kind of late 70s hard rock heavy metal sound and vibe and aesthetic. To a certain extent, I do feel like this album is pandering pretty heavily to more nostalgic, old-school heavy metal listeners. I mean, for God's sakes, there's even a cover of Wasted Years from Iron Maiden. But fuck it, I'm sure your typical classic metalhead, your typical Nite Demon fanatic, won't care or even notice. So, yeah. Next up, we have something a little bit more imaginative, fucking finally. The album is called Comedian. It's from a band called Without Waves, and it is an absolutely bonkers, over-the-top prog metal roller coaster. The band have cited influence from Porcupine Tree, The Dillinger Escape Plan, Devin Townsend, Strapping Young Lad, and Gojira. There are bits and pieces of this as well that remind me of Intronaut. I'm also reminded of Deftones and Lantlos with some of the dreamy melodies that are brought into the record, some of those big, bold, colorful choruses. It's definitely all over the place, definitely a little crazy, a little nonsensical at times, but I kinda love it for all of those reasons. Like, it's just brimming with enthusiasm and imagination. These guys are so fucking pumped to show you what they've been working on, and they're so fucking pumped to play so much weird, crazy technical music, and honestly, that energy, those vibes are just really infectious. Like, you can't help but have this big, dumb, stupid smile on your face when Without Waves are doing virtually anything on this record, or at least I can't. There's constantly something new around every corner. The album is genuinely unpredictable with that in mind. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Had I gone ahead and given it a review, which I came very close to actually doing, I might have given this a 4 out of 5. I think it's a fucking great record, and I definitely think if you're looking for something a little bit different, a little bit more aggressive and over the top from prog metal, this is what you've been waiting for. Next up, we have All That Was Promised, a brand new studio album from Hath. I think I remember talking about their previous studio album in another Albums I Missed episode. I think. I might be remembering incorrectly. Here's what I do know for sure, though. This record is fucking fantastic. Gnarly, heavy, progressive, blackened death metal. Way more versatile than what I remember hearing from Hath previously. They went above and beyond the Call of Duty with this record. They expanded their sound in every possible, conceivable way, and thank God they did, because this is maybe one of the better death metal records I've heard so far this year. There's an intensity to this that reminds me of some of the earlier Rivers of Nile and Fallujah stuff. The album is very intelligent, very immersive. As big and as bold and as progressive as it gets to, it never loses sight of the fact that it's still a death metal record, and it still needs to bring big, fucking stupid, slimy riffs, and blast beats, and just all-around brutal nonsense, and it does all of that in fucking spades. I mean, if the opening track, Million Violations, does not single-handedly convince you of the sheer brutality and magnitude of this record, then I honestly don't think anything on this record would. I know for sure next time Hath does anything, even if it's just like a fucking EP or a standalone single, we'll be talking about it. No more albums I miss territory for y'all, because you guys are getting better and better with each fucking record, and there's no doubt in my mind that the third record, whatever it is, whenever it arrives, is going to be an absolutely fucking monumental affair, considering how quickly and how much y'all have evolved in just the time I've known you. Congratulations, Hath. Y'all fucking killed it. Next up, we have Crowned in Veneficum, Veneficum. I don't fucking know. The band is called Father Befouled. It's alright. It's pretty decent. Yeah, I don't really have much to say. It's a somewhat one-dimensional, predictable, but still entertaining piece of, like, modern death metal. You know, there are some flares of influence from brutal death metal and blackened death metal, but nothing to the point where it's like, whoa, Father Befouled is doing something really different and crazy and spicy on this record. It's still, you know, it's still a death metal record. If you're familiar with death metal, particularly modern death metal, then you probably to a certain extent already know what to expect here. Everything is big and ghastly, a lot of Cookie Monster gutturals, a lot of murky riffs and arrangements. Like I said, it's death metal. It's good. I'm not saying it's terrible. Just, I don't know. I found it to be kind of predictable, kind of forgettable. It's, yeah. That's it. I got nothing else to say. Not exactly the best way to end this segment, but I really just don't have anything else to say. It's fine. Check it out. Whatever. I really don't care. Next up, we have Spewing Mephitic Putridity from Cryptworm, and honestly, you can take everything I said about that Father Befouled record and apply it to this. Just copy fucking paste, dude. It's fun, it's brutal, it's gross, and it's also very one-dimensional and very predictable, and I'm not saying that that's bad, but I'm personally looking for something just a little bit more exciting, you know, like maybe that Half record. And this just ain't it. No offense. But yeah. I will say that this does lean a little bit further into brutal death metal than Father Befouled, especially with those, like, really venomous, kind of vomity vocals and that very tinny, kind of cavernous production. But yeah, other than that, just copy-paste everything I said about Father Befouled. It's fun, but mostly unremarkable. Next up, we have Voices of the Kronian Moon from Nite, and I really like this record. It's kind of melodic black metal, blackened thrash, old school heavy metal all kind of thrown together. A lot of twin guitar leads and like black metal atmosphere and some thrashy rhythms. It's very sharp, it's very smart, it's very catchy, and really entertaining. The twin guitar leads and the harmonies and the solos especially are to die for. I salivate over them. They're so fucking good. If we're looking just at the guitar work on this record, strong 4.5 out of 5, maybe a 5 out of 5. It just really hits the spot for me. It's pure old school metal thunder and fury, but it's also like really great, catchy, anthemic songwriting at its best. Just all around a really well-written, performed, and produced record with its own unique atmosphere and identity and sound and aura and vibe. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Had I reviewed this, I would feel very comfortable giving it a strong 4 out of 5. Next up, we have Call Down the Sun, the sophomore studio album from Danish death doom band Konvent. They turned a lot of heads with their debut, Puritan Masochism, back in 2020, and they've turned just as many, apparently, with Call Down the Sun, including my own, because this is a really, really good record. It feels like an improvement and a refinement of everything that the debut did so well. It's heavier, it's darker, it's sharper. The production is a lot better. The songwriting is a lot better. It's a little bit more cohesive. There are some stronger hooks. The vocals and the guitar stuff, it also feels a lot more grotesque. Like, this is definitely one of the heaviest things I've heard so far this year, sonically and conceptually. The only thing preventing me from loving this record, I think, is the somewhat slow pace of it all. I understand this is death doom. I understand it's going to move at a slower pace by design. This is what the genre demands, and I'm I'm not complaining that that's what the genre demands. I am simply saying that even by the standards of Def Doom, I feel like there are certain points across this record where it wouldn't kill Konvent to pick things up just a little bit. Still, though, the performances, the atmosphere, and the production is strong enough that this isn't, for the most part, a really, really, really big deal. A lot of people wanted me to review this. I didn't really think about reviewing it, to be honest, but sure, fuck it. Had I done so, strong 3.5 out of 5. Warts and all, I think it's a really good record. Oh god, why am I so fucking tired all of a sudden? Jesus fucking Christ. That's okay. We'll make it through. We got 3 more albums to talk about. The first of these 3 is Nova from Sylvaine. Some of you may remember at the beginning of the month, I did a poll asking y'all if you wanted to talk about this album or Veneficum, and you chose Veneficum. But then Veneficum pulled guns on a bunch of kids, and Metal Trenches did a video about it, a very controversial video about it, and I didn't really feel like getting swept up in the drama. Like, I'm all about separating the art from the artist whenever necessary and possible, but I just did not at all feel like getting swept up in any potential drama. I've learned my lesson from doing videos about Lorna Shore in the past, so I said, fuck it, we're just not gonna do it, and then I forgot that I had also talked about reviewing the Sylvaine record, so here we are. Ta-da! It's a somewhat long, convoluted story, I guess. Anyway, Sylvaine, Norwegian singer-songwriter doing, like, melodic black metal, black gaze, post-metal, alternative metal. It's eerie, it's dark, it's creepy, it's evocative and angelic, and I kind of love it. Yeah, this is another one of my favorites for March 2022. Just a really, really great record. I love it. I love how emotional it is. I like how deep it is. I love the vocal work on this thing. Like, it goes from these really, like, soft-spoken, kind of dreamy melodies to like roaring kind of classic black metal at times. I like a lot of the musicianship and instrumentation on here. I love the production. I love how warm and inviting it sounds and feels as far as the production is concerned. And it's able to be warm and inviting despite being inherently somewhat cold and miserable conceptually and lyrically, which I think is really impressive. Yeah, I love this record. Had you guys chosen Sylvaine over Veneficum, or perhaps more appropriately, had I not forgotten that reviewing Sylvaine was still an option, I honestly might have given this either a very, very enthusiastic 4 out of 5, or even a 4.5 out of 5. Like, this is a fantastic record. Maybe one of the best of the month, alongside the aforementioned Nite record. Though another favorite would be Ordalies, Ordalies, I'm not sure. I'm not French. It's a brand new studio album from Vehemence. It's awesome. These guys are playing what they call medieval black metal, kind of bringing together like the kind of arrangements I would expect from medieval folk music and bringing it together with everything that the French black metal scene does so consistently well, and doing so in exciting, spellbinding fashion. This is a seriously awesome fucking record. Sonically, it's heavier and sharper than your typical kind of underground black metal records. Like, the riffs and the drums have a lot of fucking weight to them. And it's great because it makes that switch to the, like, medieval folk arrangements and melodies all the more powerful and impactful. I do wish bass guitar was a little bit more audible, a little bit more visible in the mix, because it does sometimes feel like just a lot of grainy tremolo guitars and pummeling percussion. But, you know, I can't really nitpick too much, because, I mean, I still really love the sound and the vibe of this record. I mean, I've heard black metal and folk metal brought together tons and tons of times. I've heard plenty of medieval influences in black metal. That's not a new thing. But I don't know if I've heard it done to this extent, or at least not done this well to this extent. Like, this is a really, really, really great, really unique record. Fuck it, since we've given out tons of scores in this video, why not? Let's give out one more. This would be another strong 4 out of 5 as well. Thanks to Wyatt X him especially for making a video about this record, because honestly, I don't think I would have heard of it otherwise. So, props to that fucking dude. Cheers. And finally, we have Iron Shackles from Luzifer. We've talked about quite a lot of old school heavy metal in this video, but this is easily the best of the bunch. Perfectly nails that kind of late 80s power metal, heavy metal vibe, the production, the music. It's muscular, it's bold, it's epic, it's powerful, it's super fucking catchy. It's just everything that I really like about 80s heavy metal and like new heavy metal and the kind of revival scene, done so with class, elegance, great songwriting, great riffs, just great everything. No disrespect to Night Demon or, you know, even something like Extinction A.D. or Vio-Lence, but if we're just gonna revel in nostalgia, this is how I want it done. If you're gonna pander, you should do it like this. If you're gonna pander, you should do so specifically to me, is what I'm saying. I'm gonna be fucking selfish here. Fuck all y'all. Because this album's great. I even love how it incorporates like acoustic guitars and organs and synthesizers without being distracting, without being stupid, without being confusing. It's just a really, really, really strong record. Damn, March 2022 was a really good fucking month. Holy shit. Just a really good month. And that is it. I'm fucking tired. I don't know why I'm so tired all of a sudden. I really have no fucking clue, but I am, so we're gonna wrap this up. Tell me what you liked from March. What were your favorite albums? What are some other albums you feel I missed that I didn't talk about that I should talk about, or at the very least I should listen to? Let me know in the comments below. Press this button to subscribe to the Metal Meltdown in case you somehow have not already. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.